Dean Ornish has found this and put it into studies for the last 16 years. In 2010, he had it approved by Medicare. And to get anything approved by the government as far as exercise, diet, and yoga, almost impossible. And he was able to convince the government to get people that were high risk or were pending bypass to go through his program for, I think it's 12 to 18 weeks, and high incidence of reversal of disease. When I finished residency, it was thought that if you had high cholesterol and plaquing on your blood vessels, you were done. At that point in time, we could stop the further plaquing, but you could not reverse it. In the last 20 years, we've found that we can reverse it. And how do we reverse it? With those 4 steps: stress management, fitness, nutrition, love and support. That love and support part is yoga and group therapy. He's found that's very essential for having the keys to lowering and reversing plaque buildup. So it helps, and that's a picture of a plaque that's in the way and the narrowing. You can see it's almost 1/4 the narrowing of a regular coronary artery. But now his information is on prostate cancer, and early stage prostate cancer he's finding with the same thing. Don't change it around any, just the same 4 steps have reversed early prostate cancer. So we're finding that the same diet, the same behavior, the same lifestyle change actually decreases all diseases. But the biggest ones, obviously, that fall into the statistics range will be cancer and heart disease. The practical advice that I can give you is, if you're not used to what a whole food plant-based diet is, you don't have to jump straight into the fire. Try to wedge it into your diet. Read a little bit on the books that I mentioned earlier in the slides. And out of the ones that you like, wedge into your diet, your standard diet, a couple of plant-based products. See if you can make fillers. And everybody knows how many fruits and vegetables you're supposed to eat in a day here? 9? Everybody agree with that? Yeah, it's supposed to be 9 to 10. It used to be 5 to 7. And since everybody failed and we're still having disease, it's 9 to 10. And if we didn't do 5 to 7, how are we going to get 9 to 10? I don't have my vegetables here. I have this thing called a pomelo. Have you ever seen a pomelo? It's like a grapefruit on steroids. It takes a ton of work to peel the skin off this thing, pomelo. But once you eat it, it's so huge it fills you up. Not that I'm going to just eat that, but the great thing with fruits and vegetables and whole foods is that you have this bulk. And when you have bulk, you have satiety. When you stretch, even if you stretch with like 10 wafers of Metamucil, you'll feel kind of full. Kind of like, I don't mean to pick on Chinese food, but a lot of Chinese food is based with soups and noodles, and people feel full after Chinese food, and then the rumor is that half an hour after you eat Chinese food, you're hungry again. Well, there's a satiety value you get when you stretch out the stomach. The stretch receptors are stimulated. So that's what happens when you eat a lot of fiber. And does anybody know how many grams of fiber you're supposed to have in a day? About
20.
Close. Women 25, men 35. And guess how many? Because I'll have some guy. I'll mention that to most of my patients that are on a kick to change. And I get some guys who say, "Well, I eat a bowl of oatmeal every morning." Guess how many grams are in a bowl of oatmeal? Or bran, the highest amount.
8.
4 to 6, but you're close. So if you imagine, that's all your fiber for the day, one bowl of bran oatmeal, and bran tastes like bark, truthfully, unless you spice it up with fruit and veggies. So if that's all you have about what? A guy will have 29 more grams of fiber to fill in the day. And if we don't do the fruits and vegetables with every meal, one piece of fruit for lunch, one piece of fruit for dinner, that doesn't cut the 9. But if you don't do that, how are you supposed to get the fiber? So that's why I like to wedge in bits and pieces of fruits and vegetables. But you got to know what your fiber content is. So you got to do a little bit of reading. But bottom line is, if you put that fiber in and wedge it in, number one, you'll be less hungry as you get home when you're starving from being in traffic or you're stuck in snow. You get home because you're frustrated. What are you going to go to? The fastest food available. That's the cupboard, unless it's prepared for you. And usually you'll hunt and you'll stop. You won't be able to stop hunting when that triggered reflex of starvation is already set in place. So if you have a little fruit or something like a banana or a wafer before you get home, you'll not screw up your dinner, but you'll still be able to enjoy the dinner without diving into it and then being more hungry afterward. So that's where I think whole food, plant-based is important. This is Dr. Rick with an addendum to the wedging in of a whole food and plant-based diet. So the reason I wanted to just add a little bit of information was as I was heading into work at the urgent care center today, I did have my usual toast, olive oil, or grapeseed oil and spice just to start my day off. That was whole wheat toast, by the way. But on the way over here, getting a little hungry, so I decided instead of stopping by a McDonald's or a Burger King or any other fast food place, that I would stop into this place called Caputo's. Just before, I had like 5 minutes to go before I started my shift. Stopped into Caputo's, looked at the wide variety of colors, and I actually had two already, picked up this for $2.40. And if you look at the volume, just in the size of this would fill up anybody's stomach alone. Then obviously you can't just rely on fruits and vegetables. So this is supposed to be an addendum or an addition to a regular standard 3-time to 4-time a day meal. If you use the fast food industry as your full course meal, and then add this to it, dangerous because of the ingredients that are found in the processed food of the fast food places. Also the problem of where they use their oils and how often they change the oils out, the quality of the oils that they use, and then the choice of the meats that you eat. So the objective is, if you have to, and again from my short lecture or short video on wedging in a whole food or plant-based option with each of your meals, wedging it in so it makes it easier to adopt, with the understanding that some people can't shift over 100%. If you have to rely on or stop by a fast food place, please try to get something else in your gut. Again, if you control that hunger response that occurs when your stomach is starting to growl, it's probably too late. If before your stomach growls, just like me when I was heading into work, I had an assumption that I'd probably get hungry later on, and that my usual breakfast, 2 to 3 cups of tea, some whole wheat pieces of toast, and then olive oil or grapeseed oil, if that stuff wasn't good enough and I was still having cravings just in the morning, I would definitely, if I waited, have more cravings at night or in the afternoon. So that's why I bought this stuff to tide me over, in addition to my other plant-based products. So the objective is to get the satiety factor taken care of with a little bit of stomach stretching and or satisfying the pleasure centers in the brain. So if you wait until you're starving or the stomach growls, the hunger response is going to be sent out, and the hunting for food of any sort will be made. And usually the brain will always want food that we know of in the past as being very satisfactory and high in calories. And that's why we go for the bad stuff. So as I mentioned, this stuff from Caputo's or any other, and this is not organic, this is conventional. And which brings me to my next point. For those of you that are already eating well and full organic, if you can afford it, fantastic. If you can't afford it, and I can't afford full organic, then you have to make a choice on what to spend your money on. There are things called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. If you check out EWG's website, it's a non-for-profit that looks at or investigates random food samplings from different groceries around the country, and they come up with some standard. It changes about every 6 to 12 months, but if your food that you're thinking about falls into the Dirty Dozen, that means that your standard grocery with regards to the Dirty Dozen, those choices on the 12 of the Dirty Dozen have the highest in pesticides rating. So if that is what you're choosing, you should go with organic. If you're in love with the Clean 15 and the 15 fruits and vegetables that are found in the Clean 15 list usually are low in pesticides or pesticide free, so you can actually go conventional instead of spending for organic. So if that makes sense, great. If it doesn't make sense, check out the EWG website and you'll understand where you can put your money.